What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Pack Pride Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Smith, here, as you can see through video, but if you're listening live, you can hear I'm here with Dennis Parker Jr. Dennis, first of all, how are you doing, man?
I'm all good. How about yourself, sir?
Doing well, man. Well, first of all, we start with the obvious here. You committed to NC State earlier this week. What did that commitment mean to you, and how big of a deal was that for you, man?
It mean a lot. I've been working for this my whole life, so this whole recruiting process, was long and hard and tough. So I had to come down to a decision sooner or later. So I'm glad I picked NC State.
And what went into NC State? I mean, obviously, it's been a school that's recruited you for a very long time. You've talked to Kevin Keatts at the very least for the last 3 years, and obviously multiple assistants since then too. So, what was it about NC State that sold you and made you want to go there?
Well, me and Coach Keatts built up on a great relationship over time. He really believed in me even through my injuries. He still never let down. So, and he's a real energetic person. I love the energy. So.
Yeah, and with obviously Levi Watkins getting into things recently, I know I've talked to you about his impact recently too. But how big was his impact over the last several months?
He really impacted as well. He has ties to people I know around Richmond area, so he's new, but he as soon as he came on staff, he jumped on me quick, especially during the high school live period.
All right, and I know family is very important to you. Obviously, from talking to you, I know I've talked to your dad multiple times, talked to your mom as well recently. How big was that, and knowing that it was something that your family would embrace as well?
My family, they go with me wherever I go. So, I love them so much. We all had to discuss this decision. So, we had some bumps and, bruises in this process, but we all came to an agreement eventually.
Yeah. And when you say bumps and bruises, you mean like obviously, a couple of schools that you've talked to. I mean, what do you mean in terms of that?
It's just the other school loved me as well. It was a lot. It was a lot going into this process. The coaches on the other staff, it was really 33, 33, 33. I just had to narrow it down into one.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to those injuries that you mentioned earlier, I mean, obviously you've battled through a few of them. How much more do you feel like you've come out as a better player through all of that, and knowing that those types of things happen and it can be taken away from you pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, you never know. The injury, I would never think that it would happen to me. But when it happened, I was just messed up mentally, but it really helped me mentally as well. Getting back into it, getting my upper body better, which I really needed because I was skinny at a younger age. So, and when I got back, I was just happy, and I was just grateful for God even more because this could be taken away from you at any time. You'll never know.
And when NC State started recruiting you, 3 years ago, they were starting to recruit you as a guard. You were what, like 6'2", 6'3" at that time, right?
I was around 6'5", 6'6" ish.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how much have you, grown into your frame now, and how much more do you feel like you've developed into, being that wing prospect now?
I was never a guard listed, but
Mhm.
as soon as I hit high school, I started working on guard skills because I recognized I can't be a 6'6" big at the next level.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I worked on my handles, my IQ, my passing, and being a more consistent shooter um, going into that phase.
And you say you worked on your upper body. I mean, how much do you feel like you've grown in terms of your strength? Obviously, the shooting is something that you're developing still, but at this point, you feel like you can drive better now.
Yes, I gained a lot of weight, good weight.
Yeah.
As I came in high school 175, and I now sit at 210, I believe.
Okay. Well, we need to update that on the profile clearly. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and when it comes to NC State, I mean, obviously, I know I've talked to you about it in the past. Where Keat sees you fitting into the system, and I'll talk to you about the player, obviously, that he's compared you to a lot. But when it comes to this system, what made it so what made you want to be a part of that system and made you feel like you were a good fit for it?
I feel like I can come in and make an impact as a freshman. I can help this team win. And one thing about me, I'm a love. Like I win, like regardless wherever I go. And I hope I can help this team. I know I can help this team, and turn the city of Raleigh up. For real.
Yeah, and obviously the player that I know Kevin Keats has compared you to a lot, and shown you video of and everything like that is Darion Sebron, somebody that from the past too. I mean, a former team loaded VA guy. I mean, how close of a relationship do you have with him, and how big of a pull was that in seeing what he was able to develop into at NC State too?
Well, Mr. Sebron, me and him, we didn't really have like a crazy relationship, but when I came down there on my unofficial, I want to say last year in September, I was really like, me and him was like talkative at the football game, and I was just asking him stuff like how do you like it down here? Like, what type of season y'all think y'all gonna have? Like, do you have any plans on going to the NBA and stuff like that? And I'm glad he can make it there, and stick on the Pelicans roster. I'm just happy for him.
And I gotta say, he's kind of a low key dude. You seem like similar personality. I mean, how much do you guys feel like you vibe in that sense as well as on the court too?
Yeah, I mean, I mess with his vibe off the court, like in truth, because I can hang around a lot of quiet people, like loud people. I don't really like. We can't really bond like that. But he quiet. He barely said a word. Like I had to come out and ask him some questions. But when I asked him, he started opening up and just telling me everything that I needed to know.
Yeah, and I got to ask you too, because obviously it came out that you will be waiting to sign. What went into that decision and wanting to wait until the second period to sign?
When me and my family are just discussing this, we're trying to see what's going on. Us and Keats, Coach Keats. We're talking now, so we're trying to figure it out, all that stuff in this process.
And it seems like a responsible decision too. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people kind of jump to the conclusion of you're waiting to see different things, but you want to see where the roster's at that point too, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For sure.
All right. And looking at, the future for NC State too, obviously with a lot of guys that have come into the transfer portal, you can see an opportunity next year. I know you mentioned that you feel like you can make an impact, but you see guys like obviously Terquavion Smith is probably going to be going in the NBA draft next year. Jarkel Joyner, a couple other guys come into this program. There is an opening for next year. I mean, how big of an impact do you feel like you can make next year?
I feel like I can come in and make one of them sneaky star freshman impacts. It just was like where he come from, like, and just see the stuff I'm doing. I'm gonna wake some people up, I believe.
Yeah. And I got to ask too, I mean, how do you feel like your game has been overlooked? I mean, what aspects of your game do you feel like have been overlooked so far?
I just believe like I'm a complete player. I'm a two-way player. I love playing defense, especially. I can space the floor. I'm a pass first type player. Sometimes I get yelled at for not trying to score when I can. But I'm getting better at that though. So I feel like it's just I'm an offensive and defensive player. So they don't understand or respect, or maybe they don't see it, but good.
Yeah, I was gonna say when I got a chance to watch you at the one of the Adidas, it's 3SSB. I keep wanting to call it Gauntlet, but it's not that
Mm-hmm.
anymore. But I went down to see you a couple times down there, and I was gonna say your defensive game has grown quite a bit. I mean, it wasn't just you trying to get things done on the offensive end; you were trying to create it. It honestly did remind me a little bit of what Darion Sebron did a lot with NC State was creating on the defensive end, disrupting things, getting the rebound, and then creating for other guys down the court. How much do you feel like you've grown in that area, and how much pride do you take in that too?
I take lots of pride in. I had no idea how to play defense, but I got one coach in the seventh grade teach me how to defend, and the next thing you know, I was like one of the tallest players. I was a center, basically guarding point guards at half court, and like it was just a crazy thing to see. That's where I started getting my love from defense from.
Yeah, I got to take it a step back too. I mean, how important has team loaded VA and obviously Ty White and everybody involved there been to your development and where you are now?
They've been everything. I mean, I'm so grateful for them for having them in my life, and helping me get to where I am today. Um, Coach Ty, me and Coach Ty, like we had a conversation before I walked into John Marshall and put a team loaded jersey on. He had me just like coming in as a freshman. I gotta be that guy, or things just not gonna work out. So I had to take his word for him, and here I am today.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember talking to Ty. This was a little over 2 years ago. I was talking to him about Roosevelt Wheeler that was there at the time, and he was like, "You got to know about this kid, Dennis. Like, you got to see this kid. He's going to be really, really good." And he's been pumping you up more than anybody else probably out there over the last couple of years, man. So shout out to Ty because obviously he's got a lot of respect for your game. But my last thing for you, what do you see for yourself at the next level? Like, what do you see as your process? Obviously, you still have another year at the high school level, but what do you see for yourself in the future?
Of course, at the end of the day, most kids' dream is to get to that league. But I want to make sure I do everything I can now to help me for whatever comes later in life. Whether if it's something business, that's why I pick NC State, because I feel like I can go there and get a good degree. And then whether like regardless, even if I'm playing basketball in the NBA, I can have like some businesses on the side where I'm getting some other income in. Just being more of a business, like a LeBron type of guy, like being smart about this life stuff.
So are you going to school for business when you get to NC State?
Most likely, I have not decided my major yet, but that will come soon as I put more thought into it.
All right. Well, Dennis, I appreciate it so much, man. Thank you very much for joining us on this edition of the Pack Pride podcast. And my last thing for you, actually, what would you say to Wolfpack Nation now that you have joined NC State? What should they expect from you?
Y'all got a good one. You got a good one, and if y'all send love to me, I'm gonna send love back. I'm gonna say.
All right. And where can people follow you on Instagram? I know I remember the handle. Obviously, we follow you, but I don't know exactly what the handle is.
It's DA_bucket. I had that name since 2016, so don't judge me on
that. No, that's perfect, man. Hey, it fits. It fits. Yeah. All right. Well, Dennis, thank you again, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all.
All right. Well, thank you again to everybody for listening. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thank you, sir.